Hi, it's CJ Miller. I'm out walking around. Let's check out this beautiful moon. Yeah, it's a great sight. Uh, yeah, I'm out for a walk. It's a little night. Um, I've had a decent day. Let me just go ahead and start by letting you know that I am in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Always fun things. I especially love our area in the fall. I think that we start getting into some really awesome festival type activities. Beginning in August, uh, and then especially with the GeekCon and everything like that, which I didn't go to GeekCon this year, but I still love that festival. And then always some concerts going on. Red River Rebel just closed. Red River Rebel. Rebel. Red River Rebel just closed. And then, yeah, as a matter of fact, I went to that concert at the Red River Rebel. Then went to Rocky Horror Picture Show that same night. I posted a video of it. Then went on my cruise, and then I came back, and the Red River Rebel was still closing. They decided to break it up and change the format and stretch it out. So instead of one continuing long stretch, they changed the format and they put it over. So it's like, yeah, it's great. So they had it, and then there was a small gap, and then they closed it out. So it's wonderful. Reminds me of the next cruise that I'm taking. So I wanted to go, in February, the end of February, and then of course I'm going to be in Miami, and I want to check out a few of my old haunts. My complexion is rough right now. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I wanted to check out a couple of my old haunts for a couple of days down there. And since there's another cruise on the same vessel, by the way, that's going to go right back out for another 4 days, and I decided just go ahead and book that second cruise. So yay. So February and March of 26, that last week of February going into March, it's going to be some more footage from cruising, but probably not nearly as much as I just had dropped. I nearly finished dropping all the video that I've taken on this first cruise, and the reason why I took so many is because I wanted to chronicle my experience, my thoughts, my feelings, everything that I was having, and I didn't want to lose it, but I also didn't want it hamming up my phone memory. So I'm like, let me take the video, then let me post it. I'll share my experiences with my YouTube people, my YouTube channel, and then of course I can free up space in my phone for moving on to other things. I did indeed find what I was looking for in a creative way. Was I looking to write more poetry for my collection that I'm about to put out? And the answer is ultimately I feel that it's damn near complete the way that it is, and I didn't feel the need to write much more, so I can get started on the finalizing of the formatting, and then getting it submitted, and I'm going to self-publish on Amazon, and so that's going to be it's going to be ready very soon. As soon as I discipline myself to sit down and read the hows and the whys and look at the instructions on how to properly submit the work, but yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with this being like a self-publishing on an Amazon kind of thing, just kind of like the same way I do my YouTube channel. I just let it out. What's inside, I just let out, and don't really censor too much and don't really do a lot of, I mean, sometimes if I want something to say, if I have something to talk about, and I don't feel like I'm saying it the right way, then maybe I'll, stop the video, maybe start recording over again, to say it a little bit more efficiently and concisely. But most of the time, I just don't self-censor, uh, or doctor up too much of what goes out. I want, when I talk about my city and my love of it, which is a big part of why I do the channel, I want to do it so that, in the most sincere way, so that it doesn't look like propaganda or, so that it doesn't look gimmicky. I want you to know that I'm sincere. And as anything that I put out, it's not reality. It's not like a reality show or anything like that. I'm not that interesting of a person, and I have no shtick, to wrap around that. This is basically just me doing a vlog, talking about my thoughts and my city and my life, and getting out, getting this out to get to know people a little better. And with that being said, and walking, I'm still not smoking. I quit smoking. I want to say, well, officially, I think my official quit date, officially just done with it. And the last time I used a nicotine patch even was maybe the 19th. I had quit smoking, but I think the last time I used a nicotine patch was on the 19th. And after that, I was like, I think in my mind, if I use one after that, I don't quite, but that's, whatever. Anyway, I'm completely nicotine free now, and that's the way it's gonna stay. It's still a new experience. There are still times, and I realized today that my cigarette, and it's not so much of a craving, but the habit, the ritualistic habit of smoking, having my little cigarette situation propped up and everything like that, it's tied to when I get up from where I sit, go get a drink from the refrigerator or something like that, and then come back down and sit on the couch or something like that and get all cozy and comfortable and curled up. What's lacking from that experience right now is that I'm not reaching for a cigarette in my lighter. And it occurs to me that this habit is tied into my sense of comfort. It's, that's settling in, kicking my shoes off. When you come in and from your day at work and everything, like whatever it is that you do to sit back and finally fucking relax after the day that you have, when you're whatever. Well, my cigarette smoking is tied into that, because it's when I settle in to rest up and then get ready for bed or whatever. So and forever it's been, because I never had a lot of money anyway, so I always metered my cigarette use so that I could have them when I was going to be able to sleep. So it's definitely, I realize, tied into my comfort. With that awakening, that sense of connection, that's a little bit more of an armament that I had before, something to better fortify myself against the temptation of, it would be so easy, I could just go get a pack of cigarettes. And it's fine, I never did smoke that much anyway, and all those little thoughts. I really that's the point. I never smoked that much to begin with in the first place, so why not just give up the cigarettes? When the doctor asked me, about a month or so ago, did I smoke? And did I want to quit? And I was like, yeah, why not? It was one of those. I was feeling very spontaneous, and there was no real consideration. It was more like, sure, I'll quit. Why the hell not? Yeah, in that moment, it was just like, yeah, what am I smoking for? Anyway, it's not like I'm getting like a real sense of pleasure or enjoyment out of it or whatever. And I'm aware that cigarette smoke has an aroma and a scent that carries, and it gets all over everything, and you get a little nose blind to it. And now that I'm not smoking, I'm a lot more sensitive to it when I happen to find myself around it, So you do know that it gets in your clothes, it gets all over everything. If you so yeah. Whatever. Good news is I'm still nicotine free. That's the point. So that's me. Yay me. I'll congratulate myself. Do you, bro? And do whatever it is that you do with your life. But for me, I decided to quit smoking. I still have this horrible thing where I consume too much caffeine. But I do want to have a healthier physical life. So I'm not ever really going to give up caffeine, but maybe I can blend it by consuming more, water with those Coke Zeros. And, yeah, I'm sorry, hiccups or whatever. I'm sorry, that was just, I'm sorry. But anyway, let me get into what's going on for the rest of the month for me. About the 10th, I had a friend, and he had tickets to a show, a rock tribute band or something like that. And I love rock music, and it's going to be at the Municipal Auditorium, and so awesome. Every once in a while, I'll go to an event there. You can find it way back in my YouTube videos. Alice Cooper maybe was the last time I went. I don't know. Did I go to something after that? I don't know. But it's definitely an awesome building itself. Historic. I love it. And so, that being said, I don't know where we're sitting. My friend's got the tickets. He's got it for a few of his buddies or whatever. And I got to be in the mix. So hell yeah, I'm gonna go. Who doesn't love a good party, right? And then, of course, oh yes, it is time for Prize Fest. Now, Prize Fest, it started out as a short film festival, short film. And that's the festival, and we give one of the largest prizes in the country as far as short film goes for a film festival. So that's great. But we've also tied into it, or the people who do it have tied into it culinary, so cooking, food prize, because there's an art to that. And then what else? Oh, Music Fest. I'm doing a lot. I've done a lot of music, and I'm doing a music thing. So this time I'm going mainly for the film, because a lot of the musicians, I'm going to see them around anyway. But if you want to see them play in competition and who's going to get the prize and everything, there's several showings, and you can buy into that. So there's a comedy prize if you love stand-up comedy. All of this is part of this same huge festival. It goes on for a couple of weeks. They stagger it out, and it's wonderful. I went to the film festival portion for the first time last year, and thoroughly enjoyed it. This time I'll be flying solo. I'm happy about that, because you know what I don't like? I love laughter and calling back to the screen in a movie theater and everything like that. What I don't like is direct conversation when I'm in a movie. Hey, I like that. What do you think? I like to discuss the movie after the movie. not during the movie, you know, especially when it's something that we're all going to be voting on. There's a couple of different prizes for this, you know, and then they tally it and the grand prize and everything like that. I don't know. But the judges, they have their contest and their voting, and then we, the audience, we get to weigh in and vote on what we think. And then I don't know how much weight that we carry with that, if it's just the judging, and do they marry the two scores to see who's got the best or something like that. But they do award prizes and everything, and it's great, you know. It's fun. And gives people a creative sense of the stories that they can tell in just 7 to 12 minutes, or however long some of these things go. The stories they can tell when there's an absence of commercial interruption, they could be the length of a TV program. If you were to say, here's your commercial break, here's your title, and then a commercial, and then your first, second, and third act, and then close out. Yeah, you could fill up half an hour of TV with the plot of some of these films. But when you take all that out and watch it, maybe you get a good 14 minute story. I don't know how long they go on this, but certainly, yeah, you know. And I would love to see something like this locally. I would love to see, I guess maybe I could look up the people they're doing the circuit, the short film circuits. And with each festival, they win a prize, or they have an opportunity to win the prize. And if someone really comes up with something awesome, and then they go on and they win a few different prizes, maybe they can collectively, with their winnings, maybe they can catch enough attention to find other people to produce, so they can go on and do bigger budgeted projects. And who knows where the next big thing in movie is going to come from, or TV, or, you know, video medium. Who knows, right? So I find that exciting. Come on, oh, these people do drive a little looser sometimes at night, when there's not typically a lot of traffic out. And I have to be careful. There are people who drive at midnight, a little bit more tired. Maybe they're coming from some clubs. They're going to, you know what I mean? So they're not always the most attentive. So as a pedestrian, I try to do what I can. Even though the light says I can walk, sometimes people don't look at cross signs, and sometimes they coincide, and then sometimes they don't, with the traffic light that says they can go. Sometimes they forget they're supposed to look and make sure there's not a pedestrian about to walk into the street. What you gotta do? Well, sometimes you gotta take care of yourself a little bit, and can't expect the world to do everything for you. Like, look both ways before crossing the street. I found out, no, I'm not going to tell it, it's a sad story. It was someone that I was aware of when I had my, he was a Facebook friend, when I had my Facebook account. I didn't really know him personally, but he was a local personality, good guy and everything like that. And I found out that I just mentioned, I was visiting, my niece was around, and I brought him up, I mentioned him, and she oh no, he died. He was struck by a car about 4 years ago, and he died. And so, you know, and the lesson on that, I'm sorry, that kind of brings it down, but, you know, just to be a little bit more careful, especially when I'm doing this, talking on my phone, vlogging or whatever. Don't neglect my responsibility as a pedestrian to watch where the hell I'm going. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna go over here, look at the bridge, check out the water, get back home, decide if I want a snack or not. It'll be after midnight by then. My calorie counts would have started. And this is where I'm going to circle back when I say, hey, I've had kind of an all right day. And I'm referring to my food. We did order pizza for lunch. I was visiting with my sister. We ordered pizza for lunch. It was because I found a little bit of leftover money from my cruise. I found it tucked away in my wallet. It was a $20 bill of my spend money that I had. And I was like, way, you know, we're gonna order pizza, you know. And so we ordered pizza. My sister got to have lunch, Tina got to have lunch, my niece got to have lunch, and I got to have lunch, you know. And you feed 4 people on $20 and not make a glutton of yourself. I like doing pizza that way, because if I order pizza at home by myself, I order way too much of it, and I'm way too much of a glutton. So it is my intention, now that I'm home from this cruise that I took, to do behave with food and remember that I'm not on a dietary vacation anymore, that it is time to get back to work. Hang on. People coming. There's kind of a party going on down here. So, G Unit Studios, headed by 50 Cent, whatever, has created a spot down here, and people love it. It's not my scene, but I love the activity. Here we go. Alright, I'll get over here, I'll show it. Indoors and outdoors, baby. And it's called the G Spot. And anybody and everybody is welcome, and believe me, they do show up down there. I'm still in relaxation mode. As a matter of fact, I was intending to go Saturday, the day that I got back. I was intending to go to just across the river to Hurricane Alley to see a tribute to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath with my friend Lucy. I'm glad I didn't go, because they went and they just stayed for about 4 or 5 songs and then they left. I would have been like, gee, I would have stayed for the whole thing, you know. But I was so tired. I was like, you know, I really need to rest. And the truth is, I'm still sorting my laundry out. I'm still, you know, I'm a little slow moving when it comes to stuff like that sometimes. I'm still sorting out my laundry from the trip. I overpacked, right? So I've got to wash everything. Even the stuff that I didn't wear, I brought back in the suitcase with clothes that I did wear. And I don't want, you know, body odor on fresh clothes. You know, so not that I have like horrific body odor. I'm quite a sanitary dude. That's not the point. And then I've been like out at the sea and different, you know, so I mean, you know, a slight of a germaphobe. So whether I wore what I took or not, I'm going to wash what can be washed and fabric clean any pieces that I feel like shouldn't be washed in a machine. Okay, I'm gonna flip this and let's look at the bridge and stuff. So it's a very vibrant red and blues going on down here on this bridge. Lots of purples and everything. I love these huge, it almost looks like a really hot burning fire. These blues, I love it. But even they look a little bit inflamed. I forgot. I forgot to bring my soda. My throat is getting dry. Oh, there we go. Wow. Yeah, no, I caught a bit of an allergy or something like that. Okay, so you will get, if you're not used to it, you're prone to like, allergies, airborne allergens and stuff. We do get that, around here. And I am an allergic person. So, but something got in my throat, dried my throat out. I was either talking too much and got too dry or whatever. But for a moment, it's like, wow, I've got to catch my breath, I love this design and I love these colors and I love these lights, but they do, in a what can I say, in my most sarcastic wit, I can look at it and say it looks like a giant inflamed bruise or blood clot or something like that, because there's not really a lot of variation in this pattern. But the truth is, I love this. All the jokes aside and all the smart comments aside, I love this. I love these colors, these blues and purples and everything like that working together. I'm not seeing a lot of green, but we are moving into fall. These are fall colors. I am a lavender purple. That is like I'm in browns, grays, and things like that. But also, look at this. Any kind of red and blue together really works with me. Reds and blues together. I'm not a blue person by itself. You dress me up in blue, it doesn't do well. I'm not a person that dresses well in blue. However, and I'm not a person who goes, well, yellows. I can do I'm meant to dress in cool colors. I'm meant to dress in cool colors and be balanced out and everything. Really, really vibrant, warm colors clash with my skin tone. That is something that you learn. You learn to really study some color and get in there with cosmetology. I'm a light, fair-skinned person, even when I tan. And this is me at a little bit more tan, so I'm not quite as pale as I look like a ghost now as I'm walking in the dark. I look like Powder from that movie. No, but let me get into the white so I can exemplify what I'm talking about to you. My skin color is a little bit more tanner than typical because I've just come out from the Caribbean. I love to say all this, right? There we go. Yeah, there we go. And so I'm not quite as pale as I sometimes am, but even with that, I'm still a cool color person. I'm not even my tan still has a little bit of yeah, I'm just I'm not a really warm color person. I need to balance that out with these cool colors, and that's your tertiary colors that the way the world looks at night, the way the world looks in the winter, not your really, really bright colors, but your colors on the deeper, richer side. And blues don't do that much for me, and neither do yellows. Ironically, I can do the tertiary colors a little bit better. I can pull off a red. I can pull off a vibrant red. That's about the only primary color that I can do and look okay in an outfit. And then the rest of it, it's got to be a secondary color or even a tertiary color, but it still can't be that real bright daytime color because it just doesn't work with my skin. So if you learn that about yourself, even if you don't have like the money to go out and buy like the most lavish outfits, and I don't, but if you learn what colors work best for you, then you'll have more fun with your clothing. Not that a lot of people really care about that. You know, if the important thing is that you feel comfortable and that you like the way that you look. And there are some people who love the see, I love to stand out. I've got a personality that loves to dress boldly, but I don't like to be in a place where I'm dressing boldly and then everybody else is super casual and I'm the only one that's overly dressed, because then it's like, wow, I really did overdo this, you know. And I tend to do that sometimes anyway, and not even with a very expensive clothing, but I do have, I still dress like a trapper keeper from the 1980s. So, God, that is why I'm so happy about all the LEDs and the lights and everything. This whole electric world that we live in. As we were going down south through Baton Rouge and the oil and everything like that, the oil towns and everything, and we'd see these factories, these refineries, and these, you know, oil processing things with their pipes sticking out of the top of the building, and sometimes a little smoke here and there and everything. It reminded me very much of a painting that I did. It was a series of paintings. It's my first thing that I did that I thought that I was going to do and have something to say with it. It was like, you know, art should have a point. There should be something you can look at and study and come away with some sort of a curiosity. If nothing else, if it doesn't change your world, it should at least give you something to be a little curious and muse over. And so this was my thing. I started out doing a painting, and I did it in reverse, and I didn't quite know that I was doing it. And I painted sceneries that were inspired by you know, what I walk around and see all the time, and I didn't even realize it. But it became clear to me that there was going to be a message with this series of paintings, and it was the industry that man creates taking the place of nature. And in a way, industry does do that in a lot of ways, and it changes the way of commerce between us, between the tribes of man, how we relate. And so we no longer trade tomatoes for cabbages, you know, and raw commodity for other raw commodity. We trade currency, you know. And now we're doing, what are we doing now, right? Not me, because I don't, you know, what's the point? I don't have it. But really, banks utilize it, so why not? We're talking about electronic currency, Bitcoin. A lot of what we do is plastic now, or even now we're just making trades on our phone when we order things without ever even, you know, without even a swipe, you know, so of a credit card or of a chip or something. So, you know, we are in the age of the electronic age, or the whatever you want to call it, the information age. But we are rapidly moving past the information age and the digital age, which you might call it, into the age of artificial intelligence. I do not think that the robots and the AIs and all that kind of stuff, I do not think that first of all, they're artificial. They're not intelligent. There's no intelligence. It's just, it programs to act as if it is intelligent. You ask it something, and instead of giving you short answers, it has more stored read-only memory that, it's that very old programming. If this is this, then that is that, that old original coding, except we've taken that logic coding and we've made it so widespread that there are options, and then we actually program the computer. It's not just if this, then this. It's if this is this, if this equals this, then this must equal this, unless this equals this, but also not, because if this equals this, then it changes. So what we've done in the coding is we just expanded the rules and have programmed it so that it looks like the computers are thinking, but they are not. The programs are not reasoning. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not learning for themselves. None of that. It's just that our program coding that we've done is so vastly wide that we have been able to, because the capacity for storage and microchipping and all that, it is micro now. It is really small, and we can utilize supercomputers fit in the palm of our hand. Our phones do a lot more than what the supercomputers of the 1960s ever thought they could do. The people that created motorcycles, yay. And so, because the memory capacity is so wide, and then we program the rules, and then there's even options for the user to insert their own set of conditioning within the program. So what we want can modify permanently or temporarily with the combination of random access memory or read-only memory, a combination of those two working together in the form of, started with the cookies, right? Cookies can store bits of chunks of information on all these different computers, so it's easier to store, so it makes storage space more efficient. So of course there's more room to work and grow and add when there's a more cooperative system of computers that we allow. I actually purge my cookies all the time and don't allow them and everything, but but we get we're able to make it the responses that we press a button and then the sentence comes up and it's in first person as if someone is speaking to us, but it's really not. That is a programmed set, and we have given enough options to the logic that we can say. Because have you ever tried to really look and do what they say, create an online story, or create a story for me, or something like that? That's great, but it's not original. It's not original. It's not original thought. It's none of these. It's wonderful. Oh, it looks cool and everything like that, but it's really not. It's pieces of this and that pulled together, and it looks like a fucked up bit of Mad Libs. It is certainly not the work of a thinking organism. It's as if the computer has just looked up the topic or pulled up your AI and pulled up different pieces of information that other people have entered onto the web, and if you were to ask it to write it, it would take that piece, and then also it's been programmed enough to give it a different little. It's not original. It's not thinking. It just, we have gotten so great at the programming, the people who program it, that, oh wow, this looks like something that someone pulled together and reasoned and everything. A computer, an AI, has no sense of philosophy because it has no self-awareness. You can program it to act as it does. Someone could program it, and you can program a bit of false philosophy into it, and it will tell you what it's been programmed to say. It can borrow from what it has access to look into and pull it from, but like I said, that is a bit of information. It pulls bits of read-only information into a random access memory for what it would do for you, and and then as soon as that bit of information is used and purged, it's no longer part of that computer. That composition is no longer there, you know. And eventually, you know, see, our memory for our life, from the moment we start remembering. I can remember from being a toddler, like before I can speak, my memories go back to before I can speak, to when I was being passed around in the air by a room full of people, and they were looking at me and I was looking at them. So I'm being introduced, a new baby being introduced to members of my family and friends. I have those memories, and it felt like I didn't have the word for it, but it felt like flying. I had this sense that if I wanted to get up and move and float around the room, that didn't I used to float? Why don't I float anymore? Why the hell am I having to walk? I didn't have the words, but I did have that realization, you know. So I have those deep memories, and they don't go away, and they don't, if something happens to the brain, they get damaged or something like that, sure. You know, and there are psychological blockouts that we can do when we just don't want to deal with shit. We'll block it out. But a computer does not have the capacity to hang on to and access that type of memory unless there is enough space in its storage capacity. And as wonderful and as powerful the memory that we have, and even when we link them into other systems and everything like that, it's not enough to really do that, you know. Everything would have to be so cooperative and unified, and even then, I just, yeah, it's, you know, life is life, you know, and life, sometimes we think we're intelligent. AI does not have a philosophy because it does not have emotion. So why am I talking about this? So that we can relax, you know. The main thing that's terrifying about AI is not the machines coming to life and doing something. It's more like the people who are behind the powerful machines, and the ones who know how to manipulate that. Those are the ones who are powerful. And those are the ones to look out for. Such as, you know, when they used to say, hey, there's programs where, and I think it was the whole Snowden thing, right, where they could, like, if your computers, even if they weren't actively being of use, if they were turned on, if they were connected or something like that, that there were devices that could, there were programs that could look through your devices without letting you know they would look through your devices. I think that was something. I don't know. I didn't really watch that whole movie, the Snowden, and I don't know about it, but I do know that there are people who really got around to, like, covering their, you know, covering their little camera up and turning off their sound and everything. And you know what I just don't do is illegal shit, you know. So I'm not really worried. If you want to look in my direction, this is what you're going to see. This is the most boring thing that you're going to see. Yeah. Paranoid people who worry about governments peeking in on them and secretly controlling them or whatever. Those are, that's the grandiose or the big, huge ego, because they're always the center of some conspiracy. And they're trying to drag people into it. And I'm speaking as someone who's been institutionalized. I've talked with a lot of schizophrenics. They're not bad people. They are people who are traumatized and afraid, and they're also not even trauma. Sometimes it has nothing to do with trauma. Sometimes it's just that there's a deficiency or a disability within their brain that it's just not wired that way. It's not always the result of uh, a human environmental. It's not always environmentally caused. Sometimes it is a natural defect. So I can never judge somebody who's having those issues and say, yeah, well, they did too much meth and they're never coming back, or whatever. That's, addiction in itself is a disease, and so I can't go out and fault and blame those things, but I can say at the center of a schizophrenic delusion is a grandiose ego that is fighting back against a perceived fear or trauma. Now, whether that was trauma induced from the environment or whether that's part of their natural disability, it can happen either way. Usually it's a little bit of both, because there's a huge correlation between addiction and behavioral or mental disorder. I really should know. I've got a little of both, but it's like this whole AI thing. It's a big old huge conspiracy theory that it's fun to fantasize about, because we've seen the movies, we've seen the Terminators, we've seen the Matrixes and everything like that. But right, you're good. You're good to go. And I say this because I do talk to people, and there are people who get afraid of technology and phobia and stuff. It's not the machines, it's the people who can control the machines. And the only thing you really have to do is use the proper safeguards, and I don't know. There may be some grandiose things about it, like, oh my God, I've got some sort of secret identity that I don't know, that they wiped my mind. What's that? The Arnold Schwarzenegger going to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Total Recall. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Those wild, crazy little fantasies that we can all sometimes have in the most curious moments of the night when we're alone. Have fun with it. Don't get lost in it. Separate the fiction. You know what it is? The government is sending nanobots through the air to get me to shut my mouth because they don't want me to tell you. Wink, wink. No, it's I talk too much, but it's not nanobites. Anyway, or whatever. So it is about enjoy the fiction. Don't get lost in it. Don't separate. Don't forget that fiction is not reality. And there is a trauma of life where sometimes people find life unsatisfying. And so what do? They tell great big whopper stories or whatever. And it's fun to tell stories and entertain, and get the attention and everything. But don't forget to, that other people are not stupid, and they may enjoy the story, or they may, but you gotta not think people are stupid. You gotta not take, if you meet somebody, don't take advantage of the fact that they're just meeting you, and you go out and tell them these big, huge, fantastic stories that are so far removed from the truth of who you really are, right? Because you can't keep up. You can't keep up with the facts. That you're trying to put out, the fantasy, the untruth. You can't keep up with all that, And so, yeah. And then also, what if you are enough the way that you are? What if you are just that wonderful of a person, even without being the grand superstar of this perceived thing, of whomever it is that you're trying to impress? What if you are just enough being you? What if we all knew that? What if when we were little and we got caught telling stories. Basically, what do? We bullshit each other on the playground, about shit, What if it's okay to just be you because you are just perfect the way that you are, and you don't have to impress anybody? And if you are trying to impress people that care about that kind of shit, like the greater, the bigger, then that's the love that you'll get. That's not love. That's sycophantic attention. And those are the people that would want to be able to use you, and then if they find out that you don't have anything that they can use, they're going to dump you. It's insincerity. You don't want those people anyway. Fuck them. Be you. Be who you are. You don't have to do that exaggeration. And what if we're told that when we're little, when we start doing that, and like, baby, it's fun to play pretend, but don't be a dumbass in thinking that other people are going to be dumbasses and believe that shit. Like, yeah, it's, and what's so funny? A lot of times people who come from a traumatic background, and we have a lot of poverty in the world, and so there's a generational poverty, and therefore there is generational trauma that goes along with that poverty, and it's getting better, but we're not anywhere near as okay as we should be in these areas. But what happens is that sometimes people find their station unsatisfactory, and so they feel the need to peacock. And that's because people are not telling you, or people are not telling each other, we're not telling each other that we are enough just the way that we are, and that I love you, even if I don't even know you and I've never met you. I know that you're human, and I know that you struggle like I do, like we all do, and that I do love you. I'm totally sincere on that, and that's a sincere love, and it doesn't even matter if you don't feel that back in my direction, because it's not a commercial kind of love. It's not a commodity to trade from. It's fucking sincere, whether you know it or not. I just don't care. It's real. That love that I have for humanity. That being said, I'm not a pushover, and I'm quite the little bitch if I get my toes stepped on in a business dealing, for instance. And I know people live on tips and they need tips and everything. We ordered the pizza, and and we're in an upstairs apartment, and the lady, we gave instructions, come upstairs, bring it and everything, and she gave this story about she's not allowed to come upstairs, and yeah, that's bullshit. I will say this was a rather portly woman. This was a rather large woman, and if I were her, I would not want to walk upstairs either. I'm not body shaming or anything like that, but I did take the money, and I went downstairs, and right in front of her, I counted the tip out of the money and handed her how much for the pizzas, and I kept the tip, and I took it back upstairs, and I put it back into the old purse for another day. And the reason why, people, tips are for people who can at least walk up one single flight of stairs without a bunch of bullshit. That maybe is the kind of tips are for, yes, it's for sharing. People have to live on tips and everything like that, but if you need the tip, you got to complete the job. What if I'm in a restaurant and I sit down and I order my food and I have to go to the kitchen and get my own food? Well, then maybe I would tip a little bit for having to clean up the tables and everything after we're done. But what if I'm in a fast food restaurant and I go pick up my burger and I come sit down at the table, and at the table then I take my tray and I put it over and put it in the garbage. I do all that myself. Well, that's not a situation in which I'm going to worry about leaving a tip. If I go to a coffee shop and I get my coffee, I don't. If I have some leftover change, I may say keep the change or something like that. But I don't tip the barista 20% of a $10 coffee drink that I'm gonna pick up and I'm gonna walk away. Especially when they have already pre-made the coffee and they pour the coffee. They're not making it fresh to order. They're using it's like coffee salad. You know, all the stuff's already there, and the most that we might get is a little bit of frothy foam. No, if I go to a coffee shop and you make my espresso fresh and pour it in and all that, then yes, you're going to get a bigger tip. You know what I'm saying? Tips are an appreciation for service. Yes, it goes to help the business owner pay for your salary if you're in the service industry. I know that I have been. But you don't just get a tip just for writing down an order and then turning it into a kit. There's got to be some service involved with it. And I'm so sorry, but if you're not going to bring the pizza to the door and I got to walk out to the street, it wasn't even my apartment, it was my sister's apartment, and you just bring it. If you're going to do that, you're not going to get the pizza. That being said, let me get back to saying, even that lazy pizza delivery person, I still love her as a person. There was no need for me to just ride her down, just dog her out for not bringing the pizza. No, we just simply deducted, or I made that choice. I simply deducted the tip that I do not feel that she earned when we had to go get the pizza. And now I'm wondering, how would you feel about that? I know there are some places, maybe you live in a big, large building, in a high rise or something like that, and it's a secure building and everything, then of course you want to go down to the common area because they can't come in and do deliveries and stuff like that later. And this was in the daytime too. It wasn't even at night. It was like broad daylight and everything like that. This was just a woman who was lazy, didn't want to walk up the lane to the door and yeah, and then come up the little stairs, you know, like, because it's a second story apartment. She just, yep. I don't know. Lazy people, they get to keep the change. They don't get the bigger tips. They get to keep the change. That's what they get to do. So, and I am wondering what your thoughts on that are. If I pose a question and you get this far into the video, God bless you. Do know that this is out of love. You can love someone and not be a doormat. You can have healthier boundaries. I sometimes have moments where I'm a little bit more rigid in those things, and I know that. But I don't feel guilty about, you know, not leaving a bigger tip. But if you need the money, then you need to do the work, you know. I know that's a marginal way of thinking, you know. So I have that sometimes. I have that thing where it needs to be written down in black and white on the paper. These are the rules, and that's where they are. I'm working on trying to be a little bit more flexible in those areas, to be a little bit more understanding, to be a little bit less like an artificially intelligent being, you know. By the way, a computer and AI, it's not a being. That's not even the right term for it, you know. It's going to be okay. Robots are not going to rule the world. Borderline personality with obsessive compulsive disorders, they already rule the world. So, you know, me, it's me. Look at me. If you took me and then gave me like a great intelligence and a great sense of ambition, that's the people that are running the world. So, I don't know. I'm so glad that I get the best of both. My mother was very devout in a lot of things that she carried on, and then my father was very freewheeling in the way that he did things, and so I kind of get the best of both. And then sometimes I feel a strong sense of rigidity, and sometimes even when it's misplaced, and then sometimes I feel this great need for spontaneity and wonderness. So I feel like I get a little bit of the best of both, and sometimes that's to my detriment, and or to the detriment of my experience, I should say, and then sometimes it serves me well. Um, so yay, we get a little lesson about science and how science is not. Philosophy, a philosophy that we have as mankind leads to wonderment and curiosity, and searching for those answers leads to scientific innovation. So there's that link, of course. But so in that way, you get your philosophy, you get your science, you get a little bit of therapy, you get a little unsolicited thought on my personal psychoanalogy, about how addiction, especially with nicotine, is deeply rooted in my sense of relaxation and comfort. Oh, I'm home from my whatever it is I've done, and it's hot outside. Whew, let me relax and get my soda, and okay, grab the cigarette. But it's an automatic. It becomes part of. So we learned about that, or I did. That's what started this thing, because I had that realization, and then I was like, let me go outside and walk and talk. And then also we get a little art with the creativity of the bridge and these beautiful lights that people have created for us. And if I walk up this way, we're going to see some of the tents that are still up from the... I'll walk this way. I'll just go ahead and walk a little bit of a longer way around. I'm already out. I'm still energetic. I'm still up. We'll go and we'll look at a little bit of what's left over from the Red River Revel at Festival Plaza. Some of the tents are still up. The what do you call them? The pavilions. Is that right? The those tents, that they're not tents, that they're like a canvas covering. I want to say they're awnings or pavilions or something like that, but so I don't think pavilion's the right word, but it might be. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. What do you call that? You go to a festival and there's like, it's not a tent, but yeah. Is it a pavilion? You know, People use them at family barbecues and stuff like that sometimes to create shade. I don't know. See, my mind, much like, that it's not lost information. It's in my mind, but I just can't access it. I can't find it right now. But I think they're called pavilions. But anyway, a computer, that information will eventually get lost. Sometimes there are electrical coding. There's coding that's kind of gets sticky. It's not really sticky. It's just like in the wires that the signals come to, and the hardware components, that electrical static sometimes gets built up and gets so clunky that it's almost like it's got to be cleared out. It's the equivalent to, oh, they did turn off. No, they just dance. How about that? But people do come and splash around in these things. I keep saying I'm going to do that one day. I need to find out if it's open or closed. I don't want to get arrested by splashing around in the fountain at midnight, I'll be like, oh no, I'm just reenacting that opening scene from Friends by myself because I have no friends. I don't want to do that. Yeah, no. The lights are off now. Yeah, maybe no. I'll be damned. They're programmable to do things as well. I love it. I love it. But I do hope people remember they can come down here and splash around in here in the daytime. When they did that, when they first opened this back up and the kids were coming down here, it was so fun to see them cooling off in the heat of summer. But I'm gonna walk over here. I'm gonna let these cars pass by because I do not want to get hit. Remember, I talked about my responsibility to look both ways in the road. So you got some safety. You learn some safety also. Yeah. And I'm not walking in the I'm on the, it's not a median or a middle ground or something like that. In New Orleans, by the way, everybody calls that bit of that stretch in the middle of the road that separates the flow of traffic. Most places will call that a median. In New Orleans, they just call it a middle ground. Yeah. So what do you call these? Pavilions, right? You might call it, some people call them tents. Some people call them pavilions. I don't know. I can tell you this. You can bet your sweet ass I'm going to Google it as soon as I get home. See what the artificial intelligence has to teach me from its stored knowledge. It's basically electronic encyclopedias. We don't have to be afraid of it. And what else did we learn? We got some self-esteem coaching. And when I say those things, I'm talking to myself as well. We are enough just the way that we are. We don't have a fucking thing to prove to anybody. Except the people who maybe give us our money if we want to do what we're supposed to do for that, But, loyalty, honesty, quality, those are values that come from the inside. You have those and they get nurtured. And if they don't get nurtured, maybe there's a hell of a lot of work that the person will have to do later on in life to nurture those things so they can be where they're supposed to be. But individually, the maintenance of all those spiritual concepts, that's our responsibility and our values and our morals, and it's up for us to decide what's right for us, and in those regards we have only ourselves to answer to. No matter what family responsibilities are, we still have to be ultimately ourselves. Now look at this. There's a whole marble pack down here. Nothing in it. Why did I even pick it up? I'm going to put it right back down. I should have taken it and thrown it in the trash can. I should have at least pretended to care about litter. There's a trash can right there. Damn it, I'm going to discipline myself. I hate this weird sense of pseudo nobility that I impose upon myself. I don't mean any of it, but I'm doing it anyway. Throwing this away. Okay, you gotta have a little sense of humor too, and a good self-awareness. You gotta know yourself. Know thyself. Where do we hear that? There's some sort of some sort of Latin phrase that we got that means know thyself or something. But yeah, know yourself until your own self be true. Copernicus, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe that's a combination of quotes, but certainly have a sense of who you are and know that who you are is perfectly enough for me to love you. And Even if you're on the dangerous side, I still love you. I just may not think that you're safe enough to step into my world, but I'll love you and I will always want the best for you. Can't be a doormat, can't be everybody's fool, but you don't let the fact that it's good to have a little bit of awareness and a little vigilance towards personal integrity, but you don't let that jade you from being like a bitter person and being a shut off from the rest of the world. You know? Don't live in fear. Live in carefulness, you know. But don't let that caution get to the point that it imprisons you in a corner of a room and you never get out and you never look and you never interact and you never get to do anything. You know, live healthy, but damn it, get out and live. Okay, with that, love and light. Ciao, Bella. Peace. Good night.